This is the Brick Commentary Central. You're listening to the BCC Podcast. It is Monday, September 26th of 2022, and you're listening to episode 324 of the BCC Podcast. I'm LQ. Joining me today is Ford.
Good evening, everybody.
Leo.
Hello there.
And returning once again, PenPlays.
Hello.
How you doing, Pen? It's been maybe 2 months? 3 months?
3-ish.
We're getting
close
I guess actually the entire summer did go past in that
Yeah,
time.
It did. It's true. It's been an exciting past month specifically, but other than that, it's been pretty uneventful otherwise. But
What would you say was so exciting about it?
well, I kind of discovered what kind of content I like to create on YouTube, and it kind of took off, and it's been
Right.
exciting to see.
So, yeah, you had that video about Lego DC that was
Yes.
doing some numbers, right?
It was being passed around. It was.
I actually hadn't compared it to your normal video in quite a while, like the view counts.
Yeah. It's been very eye-opening. It's been very interesting making money off of YouTube as well through that, which is
We haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens to by surprise. I've learned. But I just had this moment of realization that this is bad. I have something to say that no one else does.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say something about it. And then suddenly everybody else is talking about it.
Well, I
And
feel like
think
there
that's
has been
really
kind of a void in that space. There are some other YouTubers who used to do stuff like that, I feel. I'm not going to mention any names, so I don't want to slander anyone specifically, but I feel like in recent years they kind of went downhill, so I feel like that's a void that's been needing to be filled for a while.
Modularity.
What do they even... I know Waj posted something
They-
a while ago.
They post a podcast once a quarter, if that.
But yeah, no, that's great that those are blowing up. Obviously, you're way better than our videos, though. I understand the podcast is not something YouTube loves.
Yeah.
I've learned that it does like long form content. From what I've been able to see, because like I have a few friends who are also within the Lego YouTuber space, is that it gravitates towards some of the most random stuff where the algorithm starts pushing it out. But then it's also looking specifically for a niche or looking for how long somebody's watching, because the longer they watch, the more ads they watch, the more money YouTube gets. So
yeah, I know with our stuff, podcasts aren't the most popular as it is. Long form stuff does tend to do well, but more casual long form isn't always the best. It's got to really connect with the personalities of the people listening, and I get that as someone who listens to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Also, we did way better before the Elsa Gate stuff.
I will say when it comes to all that COPPA stuff, like it's become increasingly clear that they are very specifically talking about Elsa Gate type content for. So like even though we're talking Lego, we're a bunch of 20 plus year olds talking about.
Yeah, we've never had issues with like strikes or anything, but I feel like since that happened, there was a very distinct point where our videos stopped being recommended.
I get you. It might be a situation where they don't see enough traction over time or whatever, but see, I don't claim myself to be a master of the algorithm.
No
because
one
it's
is.
honestly relatively new to me. I know some people who are very insightful, but it's ever changing.
Yeah,
and that's what's been really strange. And then also this very strange situation where they want longer content so they can get more ad revenue, contrasted with wanting to compete with TikTok with YouTube Shorts. It's this very strange instance where they can't decide.
I've heard you can blow up really fast doing shorts right now.
I can attest to that. Unfortunately, it's not a monetized offering right now. So despite the fact it doing 5 times better than the DC video ever did, they only just announced that it can be monetized, but they're not starting that until 2023. But you learn stuff, and
I do wonder with our channel too. we took a huge hit when it might have just been like an audience thing, because we always did not just specifically Bionicle content, but I wonder if YouTube still tags us as mainly a Bionicle channel, because it's very
That's
hard to
always
get
a weird
people from the
process.
general Lego audience in comparison. We tend to mostly cross over with people who looked up Bionicle stuff at some point.
No,
I-
I think we'd have a better
Go ahead.
chance if we made Lego train content.
You'd be
Nice
shocked.
try, trains.
You'd be shocked if that's definitely a niche, but it's strictly 40-plus-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. That's the audience we want.
Which
Of
I mean,
course.
sure,
But
but
they're not on YouTube.
they're not on YouTube. They're on Facebook.
Darn.
But, that can work for somebody.
Mhm.
They have their own systems there as well.
No, YouTube's a weird beast. I stopped caring too much about what they think a long time ago. I just like to talk about this stuff. Though, I do
Yeah.
have a lot of ideas for other types of stuff I might be doing in the near future.
Although at some point we have to do a video to rival the 12-hour Oblivion retrospective. That's on YouTube.
You can do that, Leo.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of games, something I did want to mention, today is apparently the 25th anniversary of Lego Island's release.
Huzzah!
So,
I've still never played Lego
you
Island.
still never played it?
No?
It's really hard to get to run on a modern PC, I found.
I've
I
never
figured.
played the first Lego Island. I did play the second one a bit though.
See,
I-
It's fun.
I
It's
do
fun.
I've
have
definitely.
an extreme stunt set, though, so I have the Brickster.
That's all that matters, right?
Yeah, I do have a Pepper Roni, so there's that.
I've gotten it to run on some PCs. It's really finicky to try and get it to run now.
I mean, it's a very early CD-ROM, so
It is. I've
Which
actually,
I appreciate them taking the effort to even bother doing that at the time. Like, that's very forward of them.
No, like, that project had so much potential. I've mentioned it on our podcast before, but there's the official Lego, I believe it's Bits and Bricks podcast. And all of their episodes are actually really great. It's a really great podcast.
I
But
just finished that series recently, and I also can't recommend it enough. There's just so much to absorb from it.
It's so much stuff that I'm surprised Lego officially sanctioned.
Well, I appreciate that that's how they approached it, though.
I very much appreciate it too. Like, the Lego Island one is great, and also the Lego Universe one specifically I love.
It had 3 dedicated episodes
Yeah,
to it. Like,
and it
Lego
deserved every
Universe,
moment.
had a development, music, and its failure as 3 separate episodes. But on top of that, the episodes that I personally loved, aside from the Lego Island ones, because those were the classic ones, and Lego Racers as well, loved that. They did one about Bionicle. They did one about Galador.
Yes, I was.
And they
Yes,
did
yes.
one. The Galador one is probably one of the most interesting ones because it strays so far away from what the podcast's actual intent is in a good way. Like,
Well, that's
their whole point
that's
is talking
because
about-
Galador strayed so far from what Lego was all about in a good way.
It's so funny because they actually got one of the remaining designers that's still working there talking about it. But then they talked to the show's writer. They talked to someone who set up the original Galador website. They talked about the Keck Powerizer. They talk about the video games that they ended up producing for it. That, like, that, I think there was like the one that was like they moved it on to a different company without telling the initial company who was making it, and they just released it anyway. Like, it's such an interesting story, and it's probably one of their longest ones too. But from here on out, they're not as they're not releasing many episodes in like inconsistency, but it's more focusing on Lego as a whole and its history, and that's such a unique subject. Like, the most recent ones were just talking about preserving their history in the 90th anniversary. It's such an insightful, interesting story. But aside from those ones, the last one that I think is probably the most exciting of the bunch is Lego Minecraft.
Yeah, I've not listened to that one yet.
There is no Lego Minecraft game, but it's the history of Lego and Minecraft, and that's what's interesting.
Oops, I accidentally just played some of their audio over this podcast, looking up this episode to put on watch
Nice.
later, but no, it's definitely a great podcast. Like, I can't recommend it enough. Especially
feel
if you
like,
finally want closure on why Lego Universe closed, which there's still a lot of us who are like carrying trauma from that. Go watch that.
It gives you your answers. If you wanted it, it has it, and it's bittersweet.
Yeah, I feel like now for me, like now's the best time to get into that podcast because I made it no secret that I'm kind of falling out of love with the hobby, and I feel like this podcast, from what you describe of it, could really get me back into it.
Yes.
So yeah, I think I'll give it a try.
Speaking of Lego Island specifically, my experience with the original game is very limited. I have very vivid screens of it in my mind, specific quotes, things brought back to the surface that I completely forgot. But most of my history with Lego Island is strictly from Lego Island 2, with a little bit of Island Extreme Stunts sprinkled in. But even though I mostly enjoyed those two rather than the full series, I can definitely count myself among the people who adore everything that was and what it stood for.
So my history of Lego Island actually is very interesting because I started off with 2 as well. I think we're generally all around the same age bracket here. So Lego Island 1, the original, came out around the time I was born. So obviously I would not have gotten that at the height of its popularity. But 2 was in a lot of bargain bins for a long time. So that is the one that I ended up getting. But then I loved it so much. I loved it so much, though. I learned how to use the internet and tracked down a website that still sold copies of the original. Had my grandma buy me a copy of it.
Very nice. Hacker man.
And that was around the same time I learned how to use eBay to buy Bionicle. So
eBay.
Nice.
No, then I played that, and it's just such an amazingly charming game. It has so much nostalgia for me. I then did track down Extreme Stunts, and it never worked, ever.
See, I had that issue too. My computer that we had as a family was so behind the technological level that most computers were that day. Like, I believe I was running Windows 95 at the time that I got Extreme Stunts, which is like basically 3 decades of advancement from the span that Extreme Stunts came out, and that operating system was even came into existence. So I would it would load, and then I would reach the first cutscene, and every single one of the characters did not have their textures mapped to their body. They were just like white minifigures. And then after about 15 minutes would go by, the cutscene would eventually reach a point where a character starts talking, and then they'd say their lines, and then I had to wait for about 5 minutes for it to load, for it to just jump to the next script there, because it could not. It was chugging along. I had that issue with Lego Universe too, and it was a very vivid memory in my head, because it's like I wanted to play this thing so bad and I couldn't. Now, eventually, at the time that Windows XP was going out of its way, we finally got a computer that could handle that, and eventually got to play it. I think I ran Lego Universe on that operating system as well, with the same graphics card and everything. Which, that's a whole different story. But the Lego Island experience is not something that you really can find in the Lego games currently. And it's such a shame, because that kind of charm, that cheeky humor that you get from that game there's nothing like it anymore. They're not trying to emulate that feeling. These days it's staying safe with TT's formula, which I'm glad that they're at least trying to spice it up a little. Skywalker Saga proved that.
But even then, we're not guaranteed another game. I mean, it seems
true.
like, by all accounts, that Skywalker Saga is going to be like their swan song at this rate.
I would almost be shocked, only because it's very clear that TT is almost exclusively just a Lego thing now. But of course, we also see Lego delving into development groups like Lightbrick Studios, which I believe they now own now, and their sole intention is to make games for kids, not just Lego games for kids. And I think that's a very interesting endeavor for them to be pushing forward.
I did see that whole like Lego Brawls thing, but I didn't really know what was going on with that.
I touched it a bit. It's a very cheap mobile game.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. A lot of what was going on in 2010 with Lego's video games was them trying to take advantage of easy, accessible games for kids and the Apple Arcade subscription system. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that at all.
Yep.
served as a very easy platform to help fund these games on top of allowing them to remain completely free to play because they're getting kickback from the subscriptions that they were getting. And some really incredible games were developed through that sure have are sticking with app game rules and time limits and such that have the option for microtransactions in there, but never ever force the player to get involved with them. And a lot of those games have now been retooled to work on game consoles, and unfortunately are priced in a way that makes them seem like they're a full game when, and especially in the case of Lego Brawls, it's very much exclusively an app game. I know some people will defend it, and that's completely fine with me. That's their feelings, but that's not a $40 game. And that's what they're trying to push it for. And it's one of the rare situations where the porting of one of these app games to a console doesn't seem to have gone as favorably as they would have liked.
But that's not new.
You know,
I mean,
that's But what's also interesting too is that, but it's also not the only game that they have on the docket that could be released in this way from multiple different companies. And that's what's so interesting. We're back in an era where Lego is experimenting with video games to a point where we are actually going to get new things, as opposed to getting the original Lego Star Wars reskinned with a couple new perks in there and such, and maybe HD graphics, who knows. But it's something to look forward to. I don't know what that's going to look like.
They have to do something now that AR is just finally kicked the bucket.
Well, you say that, but
yeah,
they're 4 years behind, my friend.
Yeah, I say that pointedly because I was really into Hidden Side. I like the sets. The gimmick with the app was just it was awful. It was awful.
I will say that if you knew how to use it, it would do okay. It's just that it was
fine. It was fun. Like
there was no game loop.
I could see a kid just being like, "Yeah, I'm bored."
So you just scan one once and you play the whole game.
Like that. Yeah, that's it.
And what's worse is that if you don't start with one of the larger sets that have a more exciting experience in there, you get half-baked experience.
You don't get the full experience until you see one of the full sets. And even then, it's a crapshoot if you even get the whole experience in one sitting anyway.
Exactly. So the idea is
it was kind of strange.
Yep.
And it doesn't surprise me that in January it's going to be shutting down. So there's that.
So there is that, which I'll touch back on that.
Yeah, I used the app like once, and that was on, I think, what was it? Not the bus. There was this other. I don't know. I can't remember which Hidden Side set I got, but like it was just odd to use. That's the best way I could describe it. It wasn't very intuitive as what I needed to do.
One of my biggest gripes with Hidden Side, though, is that there was so much reliance on the fluid play aspect of it, where you're trying to play with the toy and the game at the same time, that a lot of tried and true functions we would expect out of an action themed set like Hidden Side just kind of went out the wayside. Like most of these sets functionally are your typical opening doors or rolling wheels, but aside from that, it's just hidden panels and a little scrolly wheel in the corner or up in the rafters of a set, and that's it. And that's where the theme, I feel, truly fell flat.
Yeah.
Because aside from not including actual ghosts in all but one of the sets that this ghost hunting theme
was by far one of the biggest blunders that they had, was that there were no enemies to fight other than like maybe some haunted people or whatever, which is fine, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
The option that's there is cool, but it's very much saying, oh yeah, if you want to hunt ghosts, you need to get the app. And then we see the app is retiring.
And mind you, I think like the coolest thing about it was that it had the haunted feature of like, converting a locale into like a monster or something like that. Like the high school. Perfect. Perfect use that feature. Like you have these little smokestacks at the on these sort of like pseudo chimneys from the roofs, and then you got like these eyes that flip out from the
behind the clock.
Behind the clock. The mouths or whatever. Like that's a cool set. The problem is only in Final Fantasy VII is it cool to fight a house.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Like,
I don't think you're giving them enough credit.
You can't just fight a house.
What do you
let
mean you
alone
can't just fight a house?
What I do give it credit, though, is that inside of there, what's really interesting for those who don't know is that the hidden side, the Newberry High School, all of the gameplay area is on the back of the school.
That's
don't
another
ever face
thing.
the
Yeah,
monster
that
until
was weird.
you unlock the final ghost boss, which requires multiple playthroughs of the school, which at that point, kids are going to go like, I don't want to play this. I don't get to fight the cool monster house. And that's a big issue there. But what I have to give it credit for is that the accessories that are there, it's more than I expected, but the fact that it's literally 2 sets that are connected back to back, basically, that's probably where that set shines the most, even though it's not much.
Yeah.
That I want to say that's one of probably the best sets in the line. It's the best.
I mean, it was a flagship, right?
Yeah, it was a flagship.
The castle
but
castle
it
was
castle.
amazing.
Yeah, it was the big one for the first wave, right?
It was the big one for the opening launch, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have all that functionality there, like you aren't playing the game, and as the game goes, you're told to unlock the monster functions, and then once they're all unlocked, then you can fight the final boss. It's just like you press a switch and it says, okay, open up all the flaps and turn it around, time to fight the boss. And some of these bosses have too high of a level cap for you to fight them. So even if you manage to play through the game loop for the set, if you're not at a high enough level or have enough upgrades on the device that you're using, you'll lose and not want to play anymore. And that ruined the experience for so many who were dedicated to it. But I had the joy of actually demoing it to kids during my time at LEGO, and that was that was an eye-opener for me, because it made me realize that maybe the reason why this app actually came into existence is because the kids who they were using as a focus group were kids who normally have rules against apps, where when they're told that you can play for as long as you want, however long you want, they go, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever, just because that's what they were told that they could do, as opposed to the game actually being good.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that, because something I don't think LEGO has realized, the market is very different than when we were kids. I remember when we were kids, even if your parents let you play stuff, there wasn't a whole lot you could easily get your hands on. Like, that's why you found whatever had free games online, which is probably why most of us are here, is because we went looking for free games online and ended up on Lego.com.
I just did what the construction book that told me to on the back.
I mean, that's valid. That's why it's there.
Yeah,
I'm from the cool math games generation. All right,
I went there a couple of times. They weren't as good as Lego though.
That was
I never.
Well, that was because I spent most of my time at school, and school blocked Lego.com.
Yeah, I was homeschooled, so I could go on Lego.com whenever I wanted.
Well,
I face it forward. My childhood was just better.
Yes.
I should have updated the picture with hidden side through all that. But there was something that was mentioned a long time back I actually wanted to touch on. Oh, I actually didn't even finish that thought. And I was thinking, like, with my younger siblings, like, we played whatever we could find. So even if it wasn't always something good, we would play it a lot because that's what we had. Exactly. But with my younger siblings, I have a huge backlog of all these classic, best games ever made type games. And all they want to do is play free-to-play stuff like Roblox.
I can respect that. Whatever.
I mean, like, I played, like, Club Penguin and stuff back in the day, but Club Penguin was better than Roblox.
It's true. Don't let anybody otherwise.
Nothing is better than Roblox.
But Club Penguin was ahead of its time and before its time all at once.
But anyway, I do got to give Roblox credit for the kind of content that some of the people are making on there now. I mean, like, I am shocked at just how frightening some of the horror games that they're releasing on there that's accessible to all these children.
Yeah,
like,
I know. Like,
nice. Wow.
Yeah, the more I see, I'm like, oh, well, if these were my kids, I don't think I'd let them play Roblox.
Absolutely not.
It's not like the game. They say how much dangerous the internet was back in our day, but the kids' games were very heavily monitored back then. You had stuff like Webkins and Club Penguin, Lego Universe.
We could talk about the flaws in Roblox system for hours, my good sir.
Yeah, I know.
There is a lot going on there that is, that's illegal.
Yeah, but
It's illegal.
why is it that like all our games, like I remember Club Penguin massively went under fire, or like the Haribo Hotel and stuff like that, those all went under fire, but not Roblox doesn't make the news as much these days.
That's because it's a billion-dollar company.
That's true.
They tell the company, don't support this, and they won't. Here's $1 million. And that's kind of part of the problem.
Yeah.
But then you think about all of the games that are a part of our generation that we love and want to share with our kids that don't exist anymore. And there is no chance that they will be ever able to play these games that we want to share with them. That's probably one of my biggest issues with this modern age when it comes, like when we're talking
about. That's why in my
mid-teens
I stopped playing MMOs, because like I want games that are going to be preserved.
I wholeheartedly agree. The fact that we can actually access a private server of LEGO Universe is a godsend, but it takes effort.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort.
It takes. I'm waiting for somebody to kind of crack the code and make it easy to explain to people, and then when that happens, then I'll hop on. But there's games that are like, I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with the Flash games that were on Lego.com.
Yeah, some of them are preserved, not all of them.
Biomedia Products being really great about that, but when you get to this point where these apps are discontinued, and there are people who genuinely want to play the augmented reality app, and it's discontinued, like, what are people going to do when the Lego Mario app closes?
You know, it's almost impossible to play the original Angry Birds games.
I know it is.
It's because, it's scary about mobile development is it is so not preserved.
Once it's gone, it's gone. But it's worse too, because like Lego treats their stuff as marketing tools. So when the marketing window is over, it's gone. So like all of those amazing, like the entire story for Ultra Agents is locked to an app that you can no longer access if you have a modern OS operating on your device.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And it absolutely 100% can still function on your device. It's just that they choose not to update it because they don't want to have to pay the money to put it back on the App Store for free. And I know that in the event that if they were to put them up for $1, they'd pay for themselves. A, B, they would preserve over time. But Lego doesn't have that kind of foresight because those games might not have the quality that they expect from their products these days, which I fully believe, and this is we're going to trail back to Lego Island here, is the whole reason why we are not seeing the PC CD-ROM games showing up on places like EGS or Steam. It's because they are not at today's quality, even though, because it's a Lego game, if you said Lego Island releasing at this point, game from 1995, people then get that game on Steam, they will know that they are playing a game from 1995, and they will be completely content with that, and they will spend money on it.
People love retro stuff, I mean...
Absolutely. But see, the best part is that it's from this either at that era, it was often that as a kid you were either a console gamer or you were a PC gamer, and if you were a console gamer, you were playing the free stuff online. So a lot of these people who, in the case of the Lego people who played games, at least, the affordability of and the easy access to the Lego games, it just proved so perfect for its time, but also they were easy to learn games too, which means that if they were accessible this day, because they were easy to use back then, it could teach kids how to use a computer. And that's kind of an aspect that I feel that they're missing out on, where Lego is. But I just want easy access to my games, and I want them to be easy to play.
Honestly, we talked about how like one of my first experiences really learning how to browse the internet was tracking down the original Lego Island, and now I work in cyber defense.
Who would have guessed?
That, I mean, Lego, that and like hunting down Bionicle stuff on eBay, Biomedia Project, stuff like that. Oh, that all had to, I mean, Club Penguin was also like the other 50% of that, which honestly led me down this path to work in technology, but...
Time out, Leo. Is that a Crystallian Conflict link in the Discord chat?
Yes, I did.
I am going to be checking that out as soon as we're done.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I found that game as well. You know, in a minute, we want to talk about Lego battles because that's largely forgotten. And this is just, we were talking about Lego games this episode, I guess now. But
you mean Lego battles?
Who remembers this? Now I gotta confirm something before I go on this tangent. Lego Chima Online. That game had microtransactions, right?
I don't remember it having
believe-
microtransactions, but I remember it being really, really bad.
I think it did have microtransactions, but I can't find any proof. Like even in this
the
picture I've got up,
promise
you
of
see a
this
little
game,
shopping
if
basket.
I recall, the promise of this game was that you got to play as any of the animal tribes that you wanted. And I was like, okay,
the character was
I want to
customized,
play.
right?
Well, yeah, because you could customize them, right? It's like, okay, I want to play as ravens. Oh no, you can only play as the good guys for now.
Until they became the good guys themselves, and the game,
No,
cried.
no, you could only ever play, as far as I know, as the eagles, the lions, or I want to say the gorillas.
The gorillas.
I forget what the third good guy tribe was.
Yeah, it was the gorillas.
Yeah, that was it.
See, with Chima
monkey.
Online though,
monkey,
I do think that it did have microtransactions, but the idea was that if you weren't exploring the game and you wanted more, if you wanted like parts to level up your property, which was by far the best part of the entire game,
the Hero Factory games had microtransactions.
Did they?
Did they?
Wait,
they did.
Which ones?
Brain Attack and Invasion from Below.
I did not play those.
I
were
played
my time of playing
the
Lego
Invasion from Below game. I don't remember this.
I didn't.
I specifically remember them having microtransactions.
What he's saying rings
those
a bell.
were the first, because those were the first games that went to mobile.
Yeah.
And they
I
wanted
remember
to get
getting
that
the Invasion from Below app.
money.
Or went to mobile and wanted microtransactions from it.
Exactly.
Technically, Ninjago
So what
had games that were on mobile. But
so I was thinking of, like you were saying, like the stuff with the Apple Arcade, and then they didn't have microtransaction stuff there. And I'm wondering, I have this lingering suspicion that the only reason Lego's not doing microtransactions because they try to mount these games that had zero exposure and weren't fun. And they just think that they don't work. It's not because Lego is above that.
I should say,
I mean, Invasion from Below, Invasion from Below was not fun. It was just like a platformer fighter thing.
It was bizarre.
However, I did actually kind of enjoy Brain Attack back when it was out, because it was just a shoot 'em up, a wave shoot 'em up. It was awesome. Who doesn't like beat 'em ups?
So it's like Doom.
I think he thinks
yes.
more like
It was Doom.
I can't find any proof that Chima had microtransactions, but I recall very specifically as it was like, it felt like immediately there's nothing to do unless I paid for it.
Yeah.
So
weird stuff, man.
People really forget about those. Apparently there are enough people like Chima Online though that some people are trying to rebuild it. We'll see how that works out for him. It's harder than you think.
With Chima Online, the thing is that people say the game. I know that a lot of people say that the game was bad, but as someone who defaulted on it after Lego Universe's closure, it was not half bad. It's just that it wasn't able to realize what it could be. I, of course, was more enamored by the builds that were available on your properties and such. And
I don't think I ever even got to that point.
And it was a very unique experience to see all the cool designs that were in the game, but eventually it reached that point where, since all of the original TT games are going to mobile, they tried to build Chima Online with that architecture so they could put it on mobile as well, and that's how they integrated these cards that were included with the Legend Beasts. You could just tap it on the screen and it would upload the Legend Beast into the game. Like, it didn't seem like it was NFC. But
Chima Online did make it to mobile?
Chima Online did make it to mobile, yes.
I don't remember it making it there. Wow.
Well, they never promoted it, and that's why it died. So, because that was the only way you would be able to use the cards that were included with the Legend Beasts, and the idea was that there were
If it wasn't NFC, I'm wondering if it did something weird with like how it used multi-touch on the.
It was. I'm pretty sure it was multi-touch because of the way that because you just tap the card.
That'd be very interesting because I've come to think of it, that should theoretically be possible. I've never seen something actually use that.
The Ultra Agents did as well.
I know Did it use multi-touch specifically? Because I knew there's the bricks that could touch the phone screen.
Well, they conduct the heat of your fingers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically a conductor for multi-touch, but they wanted to put the toy on the screen so you were fluid playing. Of course, unlike most fluid play stuff that they did, Lego Ultra Agents was the best thing. So, like, one of the best themes that they've ever done. And I know that that's a bit of a bold statement for some, especially since there were great themes around at the time and before it.
There were,
But
that
that's a
wasn't the
whole other
problem, actually,
conversation.
because that's why I missed out on Ultra Agents, because there's too much else at the time.
Well, that was 2014. That was the year that Lego oversaturated them. Well, 2014, 2015. They oversaturated themselves with the Lego movie stuff, and then Star Wars the following year. Like that was the year. Was it 2015 or 20? Well, 2015 was their most successful year, and then 2016 was when they reported their first loss since 2010, I believe. And they like fired like a good chunk of their corporate people because they assumed that was the solution, but it wasn't. And then the action theme stopped at that point. Lego DC died, and here we are with licenses. And if we can't get a license, we just won't do it.
Dang, look at this. Lego 2014 Lego movie, A Hobbit, Ninjago, superheroes had stuff. There's so much great stuff back then.
There was that was one of the most saturated years of sets.
And Bionicle was coming back at the time, so
yeah,
we were filled with hope.
Then it ruined our lives.
We were filled with hope.
Ruined our lives.
Yeah, Bionicle 2014 started teaching me how to face disappointment.
It did, didn't it? I know that
I'm still feeling the effects as they just seem to trickle off into everyone's lives.
I know that some Bionicle fans are listening to me talk about this and like, what does he have to say about that? He's the Bionicle hater.
Trust me, those people don't listen to us.
Well, that's good. And if you are here, you've been convinced by the wrong people that I'm a Bionicle hater. Though I could talk about the reasons why it failed and you can cry about it. I don't mind. I feel bad about it too.
Yeah. I don't think you'll find very few people try and argue that Bionicle G2 didn't deserve to fail. Also,
you'd be surprised, Liam.
No, okay. No, there are people out there. Trust me. Oh no, you're gonna make.
I remember, like, I sort of used to be one of those people, right?
No, you were, and then I told you stop being so positive. This isn't right.
Yeah. I mean, like the final nail in the coffin. Remember, was when that story Bible, and I say in air quotes, Bible, because the story Bible was not complete, and if you want to have a story Bible, it has to be complete record.
It has to be just robust.
It had nothing. And like, this is how you made Bionicle.
Yeah, the truth is that they didn't try.
Yeah.
Well, remember, they didn't want to create Bionicle 2. The reason why it was so difficult the reason why the first one died is because there was A, too much lore to catch up on, and B, on top of that, you had to be a super fan to even care about these characters because there's literally 9 years worth of lore to fall back on. So when they rebooted it with the Magna stuff.
And I was at a C to that.
It's like,
it wasn't that it wasn't popular enough to keep going at the time.
Oh no,
it was still selling.
But it was still selling.
It's just dropped below their margin.
Yeah, in fact, like the part of it, at least from what I've heard talking to people who are kind of on the inside of it, they wanted to bring it back eventually. The whole time, they didn't want the IP to become known as unprofitable to the stores. So
but then they made it unprofitable,
which is their fault for relying mostly on fan media to promote it.
Yep.
You know, a place where none of the target audience is, and charging $20 for a Toa.
So I think even if they would have. Obviously, nothing would be popular forever. I don't think the story is as big of a reason for the downfall as people think. More so that just action figures are falling out of style since the mid-2000s. Like,
G2's story was great. It's just that it was a little unrealized, I feel.
Yeah, it's more so that action figures are falling out of style with the younger generation.
Yes.
They're still pretty big with like people our age and older.
Which depends on the franchise.
I will say that there's some things like recently that have come to light that have really kind of brought that down. Like I've made it no secret that, you know, I'm into like Hasbro stuff right now. So like right now they put out the Engine of Vengeance HasLab for like the Robbie Reyes like car or whatever. And it's not doing very well. It's not doing very well. Like it's got backers, but it's not like usually these projects get funded like in the first day, but this one's taking.
Do you want to know why that is?
Yeah, but also this falls.
Let Penn say this. We can hear you rant any days. He's
go ahead. Go ahead. But I have a feeling I know why it is.
It's $300.
$350.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's $350.
There's that.
No.
Also, the Black Series Rancor failed because it also Like it looked nice, and it was relatively recently priced. It was like $200, which
That's
you
not
would expect for
reasonable.
something like
That
that.
figure should have been 100
But
drops.
But the thing that killed it for people were the stretch goals,
Yep.
because they weren't offering anything interesting. Then they did a Cookie Monster for some reason. I don't know why.
See, I get the Cookie Monster thing. It's just that it was too much of a.
Monster didn't succeed.
It was too. It was the price. Like that was like what $400 for a Cookie Monster plush that had wireframe inside it.
This
like,
is a good
great
segue, actually.
But here's the thing that I want to end off with. It's very striking to me that Hasbro's premier action figure line, G.I. Joe, is going online exclusive.
What?
You say that?
Yeah.
You say that, but this is something that I've noticed with Lego too.
It's surprising and unsurprising. Surprising to me that they would just pull it from shelves to begin with.
Do people buy toys in the store anymore? I don't. Even when I buy them for like kids, I don't buy toys from a store anymore. I go online.
Exactly.
Well, that's exactly there. But it's unsurprising to me because G.I. Joe never actually made an imprint on the shelves in the current, in these current times. Like I never saw the 6-inch G.I. Joe on shelves. Never.
Neither did I, but that's just it.
Yeah.
They knew where their market was, and the thing is that their market is there and is still there. That's the crazy thing. The HASLab HISS tank, that thing just went phenomenal.
That thing got funded in a day.
It's because
hours.
That's
hours.
Like that thing. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That was something that poor old Ghost Rider over here could use a little bit of help with. But when if you look at the store shelves, like I don't know how often you guys end up at a Walmart or a Target, and I'm going to use a close example to me, but only 5 or 6 of the 8 Ninjago sets are on the shelves right now.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Because I want to talk about that with the money in general. Because maybe Hasbro, I don't follow Hasbro, so I don't know, but I feel like Lego might not be getting it. And I'm putting a setup in pictures. It's just an example, because I actually think this is a fine set.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they realize that in the current state of the economy, a lot of us don't have money anymore.
Yeah. This should have come out a year ago. B,
I disagree with you on that point.
I think it should come out a year ago.
I don't think everything has to come out right when the thing is at its peak popularity. If it's something that's going to be good, then it has a right to come out later.
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
But if it had come out a year ago, it would have been $500, not $600.
I mean, that portion I can agree with.
No, that's true.
Okay. I have to be completely honest with you. Our initial rumored prices for it before the price hike hit was $530. And that's still extremely fair for a 6,000 piece set.
I mean, this is not bad at all. I'm just saying, I probably shouldn't have brought this one up as an example because it's opening the wrong cans of worms that I meant to.
It's not a good example for overpriced Lego because
I was talking about it being Lego was. I was more thinking of. I was at the Lego store in Florida the other day. It was like, wow, actually, like 40% of this now is sets over $200.
Yeah, but I get what you're trying to say. It has the look of being tone deaf, right? A little bit.
No, but let's talk about the new. Forget I said about the Razor Crest. That was a bad example. Okay, that was my mistake. Okay. I'm talking more about the Ninjago sets. Like I've taught this discussion as well before. Yeah, like the more expensive Ninjago sets, nowhere is picking them up in retail stores. And I was like saying because parents aren't going to buy these on a whim for their kids.
Well, that's part of it, but the fact is they don't have the shelf space anymore because Lego's making too much stuff.
And the parents don't have the money anymore to afford it.
See, that's also a thing too. But Ninjago is one of the most picked through sets at my Target. I got to be completely honest. It's not that people aren't shopping for them. It's that the stores can't afford the shelf space. Like they're cycling through sets that have been out for 6 months out of the store because there's so much new stuff coming in. That is not a good. That's not a good thing to have at all. It's a massive detriment to the brand itself.
I blame Core. I blame Core all the way.
Blame Ford?
No, Core actually. No, I know he's right. That's one of the reasons Ninjago's not doing as well as other things.
Core shelf warmed.
Core is heavily discounted everywhere right now.
Yeah,
especially after the price hike.
I picked up 2 of the Titan. No, this isn't even Core. This is Legacy, of course, but it's like the same type of thing where it's Ninjago's not doing so hot. since the price hike, I got a bunch of Titan mechs for $20 each. There's on a huge guy I know found them on a pallet for $20 each, and I'm like, hey, pick up a few for me. I mean, that's a good set. Don't get me wrong, but with core, it's getting just as bad.
Like a year and a half old.
Yeah, that one it makes sense.
Right?
I think the store probably just over-ordered those.
Yeah,
but
I just think you guys don't understand core.
Yeah, but when they're discounting like new for the year sets, that
I understand core. I just think it's wrong.
The thing is that what we associate as the core lineup, no pun intended, of these sets is that they are the ones that we would focus on are the sets that are for older builders. Like everybody discounts mentally the core line because of the fact that it's aged for younger audiences and is very clearly designed for that purpose. So we all go like, oh no, that's not real Ninjago. And in turn, they don't check out the Ninja Dojo Temple, the Legendary Dragon, which might be one of the best dragons
I have
ever
both
made.
of those on my...
Yes.
And actually, I hate the
Dojo
Temple, though. It's the only set I've ever regretted buying.
Yeah, I would say like the three best sets would be the Dragon, the Temple, and then the Training Grounds. Actually,
do you have the Training Grounds?
I don't have it, no.
I've got it here. I took the minifigures out of it and didn't build it.
Yeah, it's one of the worst. It's one of the worst Ninjago sets ever made.
I mean, does it function? I mean, I imagine it doesn't function very well.
It doesn't function at all.
It's just I wanted just the Zane tornado piece because I collect all the Spinjitzu tornadoes and the minifigures from this set, and I've not built the rest.
See, the problem with that set is that all the functions that it promotes on the box do not work.
Very nice.
At all. See, the idea is that you have to by fluke make sure that you aim the spinner perfectly. The moving spinning top has to be, you have to perfectly launch the ripcord with your arm without moving the launcher itself in order to perfectly aim your spinner. This is for kids.
Yeah, but I was gonna say I have an hour-long podcast where I just talk about my issues with core as from a design philosophy standpoint, and my issues with it not understanding Ninjago.
One thing I do have to give credit for core is that it's doing nothing they've done before, and I personally, as someone
nothing they haven't done before,
the idea is that the concept, I should say, they're doing new things with it. Like this isn't specifically the Monastery of Spinjitzu. This isn't the Titan Mech, Zane's Titan Mech 3. This isn't the what's it called? It isn't the Nightcrawler, the second Ninja Nightcrawler or whatever. This is a new Lloyd Carr. This is a new Kai Dragon. This is something that you will not get in the show because these are not tied to any narrative. And I, for one, am always welcome to completely brand new builds just for the sake of builds.
I mean, would be
the looks of the characters.
And look, there's cool. Like the dragon's cool, though. I have some issues with the dragon. It's not as good as other dragons we've got. Sure. But the cars, I feel like, are some of the examples of some of the most boring designs we've gotten.
Oh, that's a shame.
And they're so pricey for their designs.
Yes. I will say,
and the dragons are awful. Like the small dragons, they're just ugly.
Anybody who cares about Ninjago will be saving their money for the story because that's why.
Yeah, that's my other thing is I don't understand. And a lot of kids get that more than they'd think. I think there's a lot of kids that like, even if they don't follow religiously to it, they want to know how this goes into the story. Especially with the characters, and the villains are a huge ball drop on there because the villains are you're just confusing kids about the story even more. Actually, you're not making it simpler because now they're like, well, where do these fit in the story? Oh, well, they don't.
Neither do these versions of the ninja. And they're like, oh, okay, then why do I care? And it's like, because it's Ninjago, you'll buy it. And they're like, no, I won't.
You'll buy anything.
But be glad they're doing a second.
Meanwhile, that's what they don't get is like. I think Legacy was a much better idea, and I get that I was reusing some stuff, but also, what does it have on the back? It says right where you can go on Netflix and watch this in the show.
Exactly.
Which they don't get. Do people still not get that kids have Netflix now? Like, everyone's like...
Netflix is a saving grace of Ninjago. Ninjago would be dead without Netflix.
It's
true. Also took... Remember, it took LEGO until 2020 to actually get it through their thick skulls that, yes, we can put the show on Netflix regularly.
And you know what's funny? You know what? The proof was in the pudding.
The show was on The show was on a 9-year run by then.
Yes,
9 years.
But get this. So you know how we got the Vermillion Serpentine in that Hands of Time wave in 2017, like the weird clock.
They were filler villains for for that wave because they were going to be villains for the movie.
Here's the thing. The reason why is because everybody was asking, where are the snakes? I want the snakes. Where are the snakes? Because only season 3 through season 3 was on Netflix. Where's the Stone Warriors? Where's the Serpentine? I want to sit with them. Kid, you're 5 years too late. And they're like, huh? Yeah. That's why Day of the Departed is so good, because it had a little bit of everything in it. It's because of the fact that everything was there. So the moment that they add everything else on there, thankfully they managed to catch up with Sons of Garmadon and Hunted, and that helped things a lot. But it proved that a lot of what Ninjago was doing at the time was because the fans were demanding it, but the fans who were all, and I will enforce this to, emphasize this. It was because they were watching it on Netflix, and all they knew was Skullkin, Serpentine, and Stone Warriors, and the Overlord, and that's it. And that is why snake this, snake that. So now they're under the impression that snakes are synonymous with Ninjago because everybody's asking for snakes.
When really
the story.
Yeah, the story.
And that's why we got them for core.
Ninjago is a character-driven theme.
Well, now especially. Which that goes into the whole legacy is such a good idea thing that you were saying. Because of the fact the best way to phrase this is that Ninjago is becoming Star Wars in its aftermarket, and that is not good or healthy because you have all of these people who are starting from the very beginning.
I spent $30 on a J minifigure.
I for what I want and the one set that I'm missing, I might have to spend $1,000 for a single spinner, sir.
Wait, what is it that you're missing?
An RGJ.
Oh,
he's impossible to find online.
Really?
People name their price.
I bought all the NRTs right away because I thought they were so cool.
No, but see, sealed because I want the cards and the spinner, and I don't want them to be flawless, and that's part of the problem.
Do you want to play Duck Bricks in the card game?
He's gonna be the dominator.
The card game Duck Bricks did a video on Leo was different than the original Spin Jitsu card game.
Okay, then there.
Yeah, this guy's gonna be like the dominator in our spinner tournament. We already know we go to Brick Fair again.
We already know that Duck Bricks owns every single Ninjago set already. So even if he wasn't there day one, so no offense to him. Like by all means, you live your best Lego love and life, my friend. If you end up hearing this, by all means, I love you and you're supportive of me, and I'm supportive of you. Please, but one of the things that because you were bringing up legacy. And one of the biggest draws with Legacy is that it was bringing back old vehicles to a point. Now, because of the fact of how insane this market has become, because everybody's going back, and I literally mean everybody is trying to go back and buy the suits for all the ninja and all the villains, it has created this massive internal Lego economy just in Ninjago minifigures alone.
Luckily, I bought every one of them just before that happened.
That rivals Star Wars. And that's scary.
Ninja are
of course,
cooler.
The thing is, though, is that it makes it very apparent to the world that Ninjago is Lego Star Wars. So why aren't they treating it like Star Wars and actually remaking the sets as opposed to, here, have a reimagining with characters that don't make sense?
Yeah.
Which was all of Legacy, and that was.
And I disagree with you some of that on Legacy, and some others I can see your point. But
I think that, like, the Kai Fighter is great. Jay Stormfighter and the Thunder Raider, those all are just like, this is what I expect from a Legacy line. But then I see the minifigures and I'm like, these aren't the characters from Rebooted. Now, I of course am not asking for them to completely remake every single character like as carbon copies so that it lowers the price of the originals. I just want my minifigure to look like the character from the story. So sure.
And I feel like actually like the Titan Mech Zane was actually pretty happy medium for that. I don't know
was
how
a
you
happy
feel about that one.
I have. It is a very happy medium.
But they only did the one.
and they could totally continue to get away with it because of how close it is. But my typical example is Avatar Zane from the Gamers Market. The pink Zane.
Yeah.
It is literally a recreation, but not a perfect recreation, of the original Zane printed on pink brick. Why not print that on white brick and then put it in a Legacy set? And then once you make that one design, you can then use that for the next 5 years. Plus, see, people are like, oh, but I want new minifigures. Great, buy one of the new season sets then. Don't buy this legacy set then if you're only after.
And okay, that would have been more complaint. In recent years, they've released so many variants of the Ninja. I don't have that complaint as much. I feel like around the time of Legacy, we weren't getting quite as many new variants.
Yeah,
and that's
I
why
agree.
I heard that.
But then, see, in this case of a legacy theme, like say they decide they're going to do 2011 J. They'll make sure that he's at least in 2 sets or plan a year ahead and make sure that he's in another set that's coming up the following year to justify making a unique minifigure of him. But if it's 2011 inspired set, excuse me, and it includes J, you can use that to Kingdom Come. Because, like, people will want to open that box and experience 2011 again. That's my want from a retro/legacy theme. But I also fully believe that Ninjago has the strength, the power, the influence, if you would, to go into the 18+ category.
Oh, totally. I mean, how great sets like Ninjago City sell?
That's
well, at least
set.
I know it's not, but by Lego standards, it should be because they put 18+ on everything now. So
it's a D2C, but I meant more like make props of the golden weapons. Do a serpentine staff you can interchange the cores.
More obscure things like the Infinity Gauntlet set that they did.
Exactly, but
I can see that. I feel like personally I wouldn't be as on board. I'm not sure if I'm typical for it. I'd want stuff that's minifigure scale, but
here's the thing though. If you made a set of the golden weapons, there are people who are non-Ninjago fans who will look at the parts and go, "Ooh, I want that," because the parts, or they'll look at it and they go, "Like that's a Ninjago. That's a Lego."
If they could include a minifigure with it, I'd buy it.
See, the problem with these 18+ sets now is that everybody's expectation is, "Oh, it needs to include a minifigure." No, it doesn't. It's a sculpture.
Yeah, I just don't. Again, like, other people might like them. I just don't buy that type of set.
I'm of the mindset when it comes to the sculpture sets, though. It's not that. Okay, focus on the sculpture. I believe that, okay, who's relevant to this set? This is the ultimate set. Include everyone. Let's go back to the Razor Crest. That set should have included every single person who boarded that ship.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking of my main thing with the Razor Crest. Like, the price is kind of fair, but then I was thinking, this should have as many minifigures as the Daily Bugle.
It should have had Frog Mom in there. It should have had the entire Prison Breakout crew. Should have had Bill Burr in there. It should have included Boba and Fennec. It could have included Ahsoka in there. It should have had everybody. And the best part is that almost every single one of those characters, aside from maybe the Breakout Crew and Frog Mom, they would reuse them again.
I feel like, unfortunately, someone at LEGO has caught on that AFALs will buy a set for a single minifigure that's exclusive to it. They're like, well, we don't have to give you more.
See, that's the strange thing about it, though, is that they may believe that, and they can totally run by that. But in Star Wars' case, they don't follow that. They start with a huge set. Like, I would not be surprised within the next year if we have Moff Gideon in a set that's less than $50. But everybody's buying the Light Cruiser now because he's currently and still is exclusive to that set. But it's one of those situations where they deliberately make sure it's in a huge set specifically to get the most money out of you, and then show up later with the thing that you're looking for a shorter price.
That's the thing is I've caught on. I still haven't bought any summer sets. Like, I've not bought any crystallized sets because I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait and buy them cheaper now because you've shown that it's not worth the price you want for it right now to get everything I want.
The thing is too is that because of the way the economy is showing right now, on top of how expensive the sets have been turned into thanks to the price hikes, there is going to be so many instances here where sets that normally would move easily are going to stall because they're overpriced now to the public eye. And that is going to generate this massive influx of LEGO discounts. It is going to be, like, I wholeheartedly believe that after this holiday season, the discounts are going to be stuff of legends, y'all. You need to practice patience for every single set coming out this summer. Like, I see... There's some sets like, Jay's Black is probably not going to get any less than $20.
Yeah, that's the only one I'm thinking about getting.
Sure, buy that now. Something like Obi-Wan Jedi Starfighter. The Golden Dragon is going to be, well, the thing is that most stores don't carry the Golden Dragon.
That's the problem.
It's online only. So that allows them to take the brunt of that lack of interest because it's not occupying shelf space. But you know what's really going to be occupying shelf space come this late winter? James Cameron's Avatar.
Okay.
Oh,
We're going
there we
around
go.
to this one now.
All right.
Yep.
We've been beating around the bush.
I was
for a
about
bit,
to-
may as well.
I was about to tell my tale of how I was getting discounts, but go ahead.
Oh,
Well,
we don't need to hear your tale.
Yeah.
I mean, I could hear your quick
Yeah,
story.
No.
but,
4 stories are never
Nah,
quick.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I got the Harry Potter book sets on sale because I waited. Whatever.
Good.
But
Good.
Avatar,
much
man.
was
So here's the thing that I need to be very transparent about, because you hear me go, oh boy, oh this. The Avatar sets are drop dead gorgeous.
No, they are really good sets, actually.
They're beautiful. They are feature riddled. They are something that I, as a kid, would be enamored by just because of how weird and strange and pretty they are.
Think of how cool those Banshees would have looked on your shelf in 2010.
See, it's true.
Seriously.
No,
Avatar still sucked then.
It's true, but
I mean,
here's the thing. This is the part that I don't think Lego quite understands. Just because something makes record-breaking numbers in sales in the box office does not mean that it does good toy sales.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was a line of Avatar action figures when the movie came out. They purged them from stores so fast I didn't even know they existed.
I didn't
because
know
they sold
existed.
that bad.
Wow.
I mean, Avatar does not seem like the kind of movie that James Cameron was looking at saying, this can be a toy.
Well, I don't think
Maybe.
he had the choice to.
But
I don't think that was his decision.
Yeah, I think the problem was that who produced this movie? It wasn't Disney at the time.
Not at the time.
It would have been 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, is that they saw this as like, this is going to be, because remember, this is post Star Wars world, right?
Yeah,
they were trying to find that next big thing, and the next big thing.
5 years after Revenge of the Sith.
4
or 5-ish.
Transformers
proved that you could
you had
real
Transformers and
all
Transformers 2 come out in between then. That kind of scaled the bar up. So they thought, okay, let's set the bar even higher and try to make something, a thing. The problem is Hollywood isn't capable of doing that. Like
at least
all
not
these,
organically.
they're not capable of making this sort of organic thing. You find it in these smaller projects like Star Wars. I mean, I'd even argue maybe Iron Man.
Yes.
Maybe like that garnered
Iron Man
a
was not
following.
expected to do well.
Yeah. It was not expected to do well, and it did, and they kept going with that momentum. But they marketed the hell out of this thing. I remember, man. It was huge. If you weren't cool, if you didn't go see this movie, right?
I didn't go see it.
I didn't go see
it.
Well, yeah, that makes sense because none of you are cool. But like that's how they made it seem with this movie. Like if you don't go see this movie and you don't go see it in the 3D, then you're not cool.
Well, there's that. And this is, I'm going to be proven wrong or right when Avatar 2 comes out. And when does it come out? Is that soon?
Avatar 2 comes out in December.
December,
It's
okay.
December.
And they just released.
I'm not saying,
limited theaters.
Yeah, I heard about that. But here's the thing:
I'm not saying that it made an impact, right?
No, it made an impact. It made an impact.
Really,
not the type of impact that Lego thinks it made.
Mm-hmm.
It made the type of impact where, for one, it was a visual spectacle, and from what I hear, it's better if you see it in IMAX and stuff. But IMAX was still newer at the time. 3D was at the height of its popularity at the time.
Yeah,
not anymore. And a lot of theaters don't even offer 3D anymore.
Big shame.
That was the reason why people saw it. Was because of the fact that it was like IMAX 3D and it was a visual masterpiece. And
like I said, they advertised it as if you don't go see this in like the best,
you're missing out
in the best way possible. You're missing out on the experience of a lifetime.
And really, that's true about Top Gun Maverick. Go to your theater and see Top Gun Maverick in IMAX. It's worth it.
Yes.
Starting to compete with the big boys now.
It is. It is, and it's actually a good movie. But go ahead.
Here's the thing, though. Do you know where Avatar did the best?
China.
Yes, that's correct. It did. Do you know what one of the biggest blossoming markets for Western stuff is right now?
China, apparently.
Well, for now, it depends on whether the government tells them that they're allowed to do that. So,
but
that's
more people, or will
see. If there, I would not be so shocked if Lego's intentions here are like, okay, so if it doesn't sell good anywhere else, we know that China got our back. Big problem here. What if China doesn't care anymore either? It's been.
What if China doesn't get the movie?
What if China
That's been
goes
happening
to
a
war?
lot lately.
Exactly.
Why?
All
That's why I don't get with
all
business
valid.
in general. Why, if you're like on a board of directors, why, and you see, oh yeah, sure, China has a lot of people and stuff, but they can decide you're not allowed to play ball with them at any moment ever. Is that really where you want to be investing?
That's really what I don't understand with, like, this goes beyond Lego's investment. Like, any company trying to do business in China, like, you don't do business with an authoritarian government and walk away clean. Like, that just doesn't happen. You have to bow to what they say.
The only reason why the assumption is that things would go well is because Monkey Kid has gone absolutely flawless. But when it comes to
culture,
but it's about the culture, of course, it helps a lot. But when it comes to these big investments, like it's very clear that high risk, high reward is at play here, because they can tell that if the Chinese government decides, okay, let's play ball, do you know the amount of money they will rake in? But the thing is that their investment, they put a normal investment in it to start and then pour in the big bucks when they know that it's working. So it's not like they're going above and beyond what they normally would have done for any other toy line or movie. But it's such especially right now in the current climate that we're in, especially with them, they can just say, okay, we're not doing any business in the US anymore, and that just destroys us all. But that just depends. That's why Lego's making a factory in Virginia. But the fact that they're going to put the same amount of money in it regardless, that's not a loss for them beyond what they would expect to lose initially if it didn't work out. So they invest after they know it works. Or the moment that they know it's got the green light, that's when they start to plan their marketing push to get it out as fast as possible. And I will tell you, the best marketing team that Lego has is based in China. I have been so impressed by their gift with purchase offerings, how they present themselves in luxury brand stores and the like. It's absolutely unbelievable how incredibly well thought out and just expertly planned it is. I'm floored.
But is it
anywhere? If
working?
anyone works in a corporation, no, it is working ish. If you work in, like I do work in a corporate setting, and I hear this with some stuff. China is the big buzzword right now. Metaverse was for a while as well, but that's actually dying out. But China is still the big marketing buzzword. You're not cool if you're not targeting the Chinese market, because they see it as going to be the market that overtakes the US as the primary market.
Unless the government says no, it all it takes is one word. Boom,
that's the
done.
thing is, and it will happen. Like any of us people who aren't up in the ivory tower, we know it's going to happen someday.
One day.
They might be right. It might overtake the U.S. market because we will be the Chinese market.
Haha. No offense. Anyway,
but yeah.
So
I have anything to say about it.
I understand putting that effort in. Like I get it. It's just that's a lot. It's a very delicate basket to put all those eggs in.
And I think it's on top of they don't understand. Again, maybe I'll be wrong. I'm sure Avatar 2 will make a lot of money. I don't think it's going to break top 5.
Like the weekend box office results came in for the first Avatar's re-release, and it beat out Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Wow.
I'm not as surprised about that because are you talking about the re-release of No Way Home or
re-release?
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that because
excuse me, no, I meant re-release of Avatar. I'm talking about the initial.
Okay,
release
that is interesting.
For that, however, this is a limited theater event, so like there is no theater within like 60 miles of me that is offering Avatar. It's because they're filling up the seats because it's limited.
So this is talking about total box office or just like sales?
Worldwide.
Okay.
Worldwide box office for Avatar is 30-something million. Which is great.
Yeah.
But so we can at least expect some maybe similar. But here's the thing. This is a limited time event that they're doing this. So with a normal theatrical release, will they fill seats that way? Will they reach those thresholds?
Considering apparently the live-action Lion King is now number 8 on top lifetime worldwide grosses, I could be wrong about anything. But
seriously,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently. I did not know that either.
I think that's why Disney's making the Mufasa movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to know what market this did the best in. What? It made how much in the United Kingdom?
That's bizarre.
Yeah, it made, like, outside of the US, the United Kingdom was the biggest market for the live-action Lion King.
That's interesting. I wonder why that.
With over $100 million in sales just from the United Kingdom.
That's crazy. Crazy.
Where does China fall on this list? I don't think it released in. Oh no, there it is. Okay, China was higher. It's just China has its own category like the US now. It only made 20,000 or 20 million more in China than it did in the United Kingdom, and that's a vastly different population size.
So, bottom line here, great sets with Avatar, extremely overpriced thanks to the price hikes. I look forward to getting them at 50% off in the next 7 months.
Yeah, even if the movie does good, it's not the type of the type of franchise that has fans. Exactly.
See, I don't know how many people I've talked to where I said, "Oh, did you see Avatar?" And it's like, "Yeah." I've never been to a movie where the moment I walked out, I forgot everything about it.
Yeah,
I have never heard of a movie like that.
Basic plot, and it's also very stretched.
It's
a basic stretch plot,
but it's slightly like it's not like condensed. It's just kind of like summarized. Dances with Wolves, because Dances with Wolves is longer, right? It's Dances with Wolves, so it is pretty.
I need to give it credit for its science fictional world. I know that's definitely a huge appeal for a lot of people. I get it. I love it. The sci-fi aspect of it. It's just that I'm not invested in this. It's like, oh no, that's so sad that this thing died, or oh that they lost this thing. Oh, that's so sad. And then I get done and I'm like, oh, that's fun.
Also, I'm worried that Lego's marketing departments don't actually know what the movie is that they're promoting. I think you might tweet about this as well, Pen.
I saw this.
There's a specific scene that Lego has been parodying or even directly referencing in a lot of their marketing that is not a child-friendly scene.
You guys, Lego's promoting the scene where Jake and Ichiri have sex.
Yep.
There's a set dedicated to it. It's but like
impressive.
Like it's the middle of June and LegoCon is going on. Here's our new theme, Lego Avatar. Please show this video of the wonder of Pandora. Shows literally seconds before they go to town.
Yep. This set is 12
sure?
plus.
Wait, are we sure like Japan doesn't really want these sets? You know the thing with Japan right now, right?
I don't want to. I don't want to.
Yeah,
get into
I don't know if we want to get into this whole thing, but I think everybody here knows.
Now, to be fair, it's a really pretty set.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, it is. It absolutely is.
I mean, they all look
But no, I really don't
great.
think. I don't think anyone ever saw the movie or really cares about the movie, like the plot, when they were pitching this.
They care more about the concept.
That's just it. They care about the acclaim of "Look, we have Avatar," as opposed to what the thing was about, because not even they remember what the movie was about, because they haven't seen it since 2010 too.
Well, that's kind of the whole thing with putting the Avatar stuff in the Animal Kingdom part in Disney park, right? And it's just there for look, animatronic masterpieces.
Look, floating rock.
I will actually say,
tree.
That is actually the best thing Disney's done in the past 15 years is the Avatar stuff in Animal Kingdom. Why that effort is put into Avatar, I can't tell you.
Why is it an Animal
also,
Kingdom?
that Imagineer retired shortly after, so.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, it's... Corporations love Avatar.
Look at the IP we own, everybody. That's been Lego's MO for the past 3 years. Oh, look at this IP we're working with. Isn't our IP wonderful? Look at it roll around like a little puppy.
This is Lego IP. This is Lego, not Funko Pops.
It's because of Funko that's being encouraged by other corporations too. Like, look at all these people who are doing action figures based off of like 80s and 90s cartoons, thinking that they can. The thing that they can charge $70 to $100 for a 6-inch action figure that has like 12 points of articulation. 7. Excuse me.
I do love these colors though. Like if they would put these colors in like a Ninjago sub theme, that would be really neat.
Yes, there's so many untapped things in Ninjago.
That's why I still say like I want more stuff with Ninjago. I'm like every time they mix up the color palettes, I'm just a dragon. It's the neatest thing ever.
Jay getting cool yellow is one of the best things.
Oh
to
yeah,
happen.
it is. I love
I
it.
know that some people disagree,
Yeah.
but I
disagree
love
on that. That's perfect.
You Ninjago fans. Oh, his color's dark orange. When did he use dark orange? You know the Stormbringer dragon? Oh, you mean the dragon that isn't actually his? He just found. That's right. Mm-hmm. Now, what's your argument?
Not as big a fan of the keyed orange on Kai, but Jay's I am pretty big on.
I like it on Kai because it's flame. It keeps him flame theme. But
I
now
understand.
every single ninja has their own colors now, and
Mhm.
I've been waiting.
I
11
kind of
years for
dislike that Cole, because I love red and orange are my favorite colors. So I kind of wish Kai could get both, but I understand orange is Cole's now for some reason.
Remember when Cole was purple?
Moss green would work really well for Cole's. Yeah, he was very briefly purple, just for like one figure.
Yeah.
But oh no, wait, that would look pretty cool on Cole though, because we don't get purple very much.
We get purple on villains.
Did I tell you, or did I tell you?
Lego needs to stop being so concerned about what colors mean good and evil.
Well, that's the thing. But the thing is, they're marketing heavily in a culture that takes point on that.
Yeah.
So they have to make sure that the bad guys are purple. It's why the Bone Demon's purple.
Nelson gets to be
Spider
purple.
King is purple.
And he came back
Nelson
again.
is special.
Yeah. It's true. But
now if we can just get Dareth
We can't
back.
hurt Nelson's feelings.
Hey, he's in the show, and you know what?
It's not
only no, but here
I want
that.
my Saul Goodman Dareth, dang it. All right.
I appreciate that, but as someone who is like, I'm glad that they're acknowledging him in the narrative. Like, look at him. Like, you know,
he's enjoying like the best times, right?
Like his chest hair is turning gray. He clearly dyes his hair. That man's gut is gone. He is living his best life right now. I am proud of him.
He did save like a bus
You know you have rights. Well, self-defense is one of them. And I'm going to teach it to you.
You know, I just found
policeman.
Leo. You just
You're
pitched the
milkman.
short that's gonna like make us take off on YouTube Shorts. You know, I can put this together tomorrow afternoon, and we will see what happens.
All right, we shall see what we shall see.
It is going to be the cheapest thing ever made.
Perfect.
That's a very Dareth perspective on making a commercial. It's going to be cheap.
Yep.
That's great. That's great. I gotta say that imitation of Dareth thing that was real close as well. It's good.
I was kind of going for Saul.
I know, but there was a lean there where it's like you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Chen's Puffy Pot Stickers.
Yes.
Oh goodness. Here's something I want to discuss with you guys. So I don't know if we ever really discussed this after the Lego Con shenanigans, because I know that we did do a podcast after the fact, but it's heavily implied that Ninjago's narrative might be ending. How do y'all feel about that?
Praise the Lord.
So, I'm one of the people that believes that the Ninjago marketing team has no idea what they're doing, first off. So I don't not to trust anything they say at face value.
Oh, yeah, that's the whole reason why I feel like, yeah, this is absolutely going to get rebooted and they're going to have to live with it. But
I have a hard time seeing it as a hard reboot personally, just some of the way they talked about, because the show and everything. I don't really know what they're going to do. I would actually prefer if the current narrative had a good ending rather than something that just like went on so long it really screwed with it. I don't know if I'm going to get that either, but yeah.
Excuse me. I will say that perhaps I should explain a hard reboot. You guys ever watched TMNT?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you notice that all of the characters in TMNT are exactly the same, despite the fact the story is completely different?
Really? No.
It's surprising, isn't it? I know that when it comes to like Power Rangers, the colors tend to only differentiate a little, and they fight against quirky villains, and that's great. But with these stories, it's like these are the same concepts and or characters. So if Ninjago were to get hard rebooted, Kai the Ninja of Fire, Jay the Ninja of Lightning, Zane the Ninja of Ice, Cole the Ninja of Earth, Lloyd the Ninja of Green, and Nia the Ninja of Water, or Nia Samurai X, will be the characters. Will they sound the same? Maybe, maybe not. Will they look the same? Maybe, maybe not. I know that they're going to look at least relatively the same, but it would be a situation where, like the Lego Ninjago movie, where it's like, okay, character redesigns, but that's clearly Kai, that's clearly Cole, etc, etc. But
they could resurrect Vincent Price to voice Garmadon.
But
see, and I acknowledge that that's not only a
That would be where it would go.
possibility, but very possible to happen. To me, that is worst case for what I personally would want, though, because I would rather just be someone who's very big into Ninjago lore. I more want new characters and to jump forward into exploring more of this world rather than start retreading stuff.
I can respect that, but one thing that's cool about hard reboots is that you're going to get a brand new story anyway. So sure, they live on a dragon-shaped island called Ninjago. Their villains are Serpentine. Pythor is a menace, and Garmadon's already a long-gone threat, and they're trying to bring him back. And they meet this sorceress called Harumi. She's not normally a sorceress. Apparently she is now. And then maybe we meet some of the Serpentine generals again.
I just feel like I personally wouldn't have very much investment in the story.
Maybe have one of the original ninja be the new Master Wu.
Yeah, the only thing, actually, I would, like I said, there's a few ways
and
that reboot could work better.
I think a very inspired choice would be to make it Zane.
But we're talking about hard reboot here, though.
Just saying.
But
if we're doing hard reboots, then that's, I don't know.
Here's the thing with the idea of Ninjago time jump, is that nothing is stopping them from going back and completely writing a story from where we left off, and basically making everything that we did in this jump to the future completely non-canon.
Mm-hmm.
And because it sets too much of a parameter of what needs to happen in that meantime that allows us to get to that point. But one of the biggest issues here, and I'm going to say it again, is what happened with Bionicle.
Really?
When you have too much lore, people will find it hard to enjoy your lore, and they will not invest in your lore, and they will go. However, I do believe that is more of a worry on their end, as opposed to it being something that they actually need to worry about, considering
Ninjago's
that
not that complicated in lore. They have stuff that's there if you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Unlike Bionicle, though, you watch the show and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason why I've been so wary of Ninjago getting canon books, because like the more of those you have, the harder it is to find the lore all in one place. Especially
usually later made non-canon. Let's not forget the graphic novels by Greg were considered canon at one point,
with the exception of the Dark Island trilogy, which is still considered canon.
Yeah, it is still considered canon. I don't know that'll last forever. Because at some point they're gonna write something over it in the show, and they're like, "Yeah, that could be canon unless it contradicts otherwise."
We've reached a point now where it's like we're so far away from it narratively that doesn't matter anymore. Like the only way that they can connect to it is if Klaus comes back, and that's it. And that's very easy to do. But the harder you allow Ninjago's lore to become to access, that's when it becomes an issue. And what Lego has accidentally did right is put it all on streaming. The fact that it's everything you need is in one place.
The most confusing part is it's under two different show names.
And I want to talk about that in a sec. The fact that you can just go and watch it all and have everything, that's such a luxurious thing to have, especially when these people are now asking you to make the old thing again so you can make even more money off of it. Like that's such a lucrative position to be in, especially for a story like this. It's why I say, look, this is their Star Wars. Start acting like it.
Well, that's the thing I think about in modern hard reboots is they don't realize it used to make it simpler for kids because it was harder to watch all the old episodes of something. Now, if you have a hard reboot and it's streaming on the same platform, that could almost be much more confusing to a kid.
Well, here's the thing. If it's such contracting style, which I have to really congratulate TMNT for doing that, you very clearly make it so that they're two completely separate shows. And that would be how you would do it. Now, that's also a problem too, because how far do you stray away from the current DNA of Ninjago?
And I don't think they're doing that because Wild Brain has still had job listings for working on Ninjago.
But then also, you don't want to stray too close to Monkey Kid either.
Yeah, also, for personal reasons, I just never liked Monkey Kid style. I know people do, but it's not for me.
See, that's okay. Have you watched the show, though?
I've watched episodes of it, and I just cannot get into it.
I can
watch the first episode, and it gave me a headache with just how fast it was.
It's got the same hyperactivity that Adventure Time would sometimes have, but it also has the dark flavors that are for Adventure Time as well. But the thing is with the first season too is that it was meant to be more episodic. But as you get into the second and third season, second season adds a little bit of serialization to keep some consistency going. Like all of the villains from the previous year are still relevant in the second season, and then they're also relevant in the third season. But the third season is completely serialized from point A to point B, and it makes for such a compelling story just because they knew that Lego now believes in Monkey Kid. To a point where it's like I would be shocked if we didn't see it next year. I would absolutely be stunned because of how incredibly beloved it is here just through Lego's own channels, on top of how, from what I understand, I don't have hard data, how absolutely insanely well it's doing in China. Like there are some cartoon shows from what I have heard, and I unfortunately can't disclose how much that is, but there are so many TV shows that wish they could even scratch what Monkey Kid's doing in China. Like, it is unbelievable. Like, you can easily, it is a very simple fraction of the entire Earth's population that have watched that show. A simple fraction of that. That's insane. But
yeah. And like I said, it's not anything personal against Monkey. I just
Of
know
course.
that's not for me. Ninjago is for me, so I don't want Ninjago to be more like what's not for me when that already exists.
I can respect that too. What I also love is that technically the people who are, I believe that Wildbrain worked on Lego Elves, and seeing them go from weird cartoony Lego Elves to what Ninjago is now is stunning. I think I might be misremembering that, but I'm not quite sure. But what's been interesting too is that when I say that it's all in one place, you have people who are going on Netflix and finding out that there's 2 Ninjago series and the pilots and the special for the Halloween is missing.
No, actually I forgot. I think the pilots are still not on Netflix. They removed them, and I think just someone
know.
forgot to renew them, basically.
Yep. You are right. And the thing is, it is kind of inconsequential to a point because everybody kind of already knows that story.
Well, they recap it, in the first episode.
Yep.
And that's the good thing about Ninjago also, why I don't think it needs a reboot, is because so many of the stories can just be background stories the same way Wu brings up a new background story every season.
A new person he wronged that you have to fight because he did a baddie.
How is that different than a person the ninja wrong in the past that came back and now you gotta fight him? It's not really.
It's not really that challenging. But what's been interesting about the fact that there's the 2 series there is that some people are choosing the Wildbrain stuff first. So there's Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu, which encompasses the Rise of the Snakes through the March of the Oni. The first 10 seasons of it, if you will. And then there's just Ninjago. No tagline Masters of Spinjitzu or anything. People start with Ninjago. And that's their opening number to Ninjago proper, starting off with little kiddie humor, fire chapter into the absolute drama that is crystallized, is mind-blowing for...
Which I do think is what they wanted.
Yeah, that is definitely what they wanted, but what's been so crazy is that if you look at some of the aftermarket value for any of the Secrets of Forbidden Spinjitzu sets, they are almost at a similar level as the original pilot sets are, because they are so in demand because people started out, that's their first Ninjago season, so they want it. And it's just been so interesting to see that that's happened. That's happened twice with this now. That's how strong Ninjago is, but that also vouches for it to continue its own narrative as well. So I'm at this very strange crossroads where it's like I want Ninjago to end. I want a story to be complete so we can start a new one. But then I will gladly spend the next 10 years inside this world still. Absolutely.
So yeah, that's where here's the worst case. Actually, I'd even rather a hard reboot than this case, where it's some type of hard reboot where it takes the same character but reboots the world around them, where it like takes the same guys for experience the same stuff but reboots everything, like a time travel reboot scenario. That is the worst case. I think
that is the worst case.
Oh yes,
and that's what I've heard some people talk about. Like I remember Tommy Andresen posted that things like, "Oh, the Weekend Whips lyrics will actually be a critical plot point we planned out," and people are thinking, well, "What if it's the we jump back, do it again?"
What if it's talking about them punching a bad guy?
I mean, that could be too, but
what if it's talking about the pirate whip?
It could be completely something different, but that's the case I absolutely don't want. above anything else is that they undo all the world building, but don't give us a clean slate at the same time.
Yep, that is worst case scenario.
And I don't know. Also, the name for the new series might have been leaked. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yep, it's all fake. Isn't it great?
Is it fake?
I have no doubt.
Okay. I had my skepticism for it because it just seemed too odd.
So yeah, there was rumors about a title and a script coming out. It's all fake.
Okay.
Very nice.
Okay, I didn't hear about the script. It was just, this was in something, someone posted something about him working on it, and they deleted it and changed it just to Ninjago, and he reposted it.
If that's the case, it's too early on to know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm under the impression that it's completely fake.
I can definitely guess that, but
can't tell you how many times the fan has been like, "Guys, look at this new information."
Well, that's why I say like so much. Yeah, I remember that back all the way into just season 2, where it was. Oh
no, it happened almost every other season early on, and then eventually people stopped.
Do you remember? Did you were like, because I would check Wikipedia as my primary source as a child. And people would edit that and add fake episode lists to it.
Yep. People don't realize that's the same with IMDb as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But it's strange how polarizing the idea of anything is in the Ninjago community as far as what the future of the show goes. It's actually strange that some of the most militant people are the people actually that say it needs to be rebooted, that I've noticed.
See, what I want to happen is I want the series to do to have that reboot moment, only because I want them to realize, that wasn't actually that bad. Because it's not going to be that bad.
I don't know if I care about people enough to want that. I just want what I want, but
no, I mean that
is fair.
I want them to learn the hard way.
But I also don't want, like I was saying this before, all these rumors were even gone. I'm like, it is getting about time. I would kind of like Ninjago to end on a high note and not have it end like Bionicle.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because that is the worst part about Bionicle, is it has no satisfying ending to it. And it has traumatized millions of men and to go down dark paths because of it. I actually...
It's not wrong.
I'm half joking, half serious. I actually think it did traumatize some people in some unhealthy ways.
Yes.
Well, probably.
Y'all who binged Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, aren't you glad that those series ended so that you could have a whole complete story? Aren't you?
El Camino was the greatest, coda. I gotta say, I watched Breaking Bad.
Okay, Ford, we've already are over time. We can't go on a tangent about Breaking Bad.
He's right though. There's value.
I get
value
that.
in a great ending.
I remember, I liked. We lost the stream and I reconnected for a moment. I think we're good now.
Okay,
but anyway, I think of things that are similar, something like Ben 10 had a real fizzle out.
Yeah,
as it went on.
So did Transformers Animated.
Yeah, I never followed
Transformers Animated, the best show.
I never followed Transformers much. Something I've noticed about Transformers is going from the outside. I respect all the fans that love it, and I get it. It doesn't have any satisfying narratives when you try and just dive into it.
You gotta find them. I personally feel that Transformers Prime had a beautiful ending, and then they made a movie, and that's where it all went to the pooper. And so I choose not to watch the movie because you can act like it doesn't exist.
I mean, I don't have to watch
it either.
I would argue that Beast Wars had a really good ending. Beast Machines was good, but the ending came too quick.
I wonder if
they had a lot of ideas that they wanted to do that they just didn't get to.
This is why the perfect show is Robots in Disguise from 2001.
That only had 2 seasons.
Isn't that the one series that I named the Penguins after in Zoo Tycoon?
Yes,
perhaps.
But also because it's a self-contained thing,
okay,
right?
a very, very quick story for that, just because when I find hilarious. One of the things we did back in the day
was
we played the original. Because I can
tell
a story faster than you
tell this, okay?
Yes. So one of the things we did was we played Zoo Tycoon over call, the original one. It's the best one. And it'd have a group of penguins. Well, penguins die pretty easily in Zoo Tycoon. Sometimes just an entire generation of penguins dies. So at that point, I like to name all the animals in it. So I'd name them all after a series of Transformers. Not like Auto, you give them Optimus Prime, Bumblebee and stuff. No, I'm this is Transformers Beast Wars 1, this is Transformers Beast Wars 2, this is Transformers Beast Wars 4. Those are the names of the penguins.
My gosh.
And then when they all died out, we started Transformers Beast Machines 1, Beast Machines 2.
Yeah, and I think
Beast
Robots
Machines
in
4.
Disguise is when I finally learned how to keep penguins alive.
Oof.
This one's definitely a hot take one when it comes to good finales, because I think it's very much one that I personally love, although I know that some will agree. I personally love the ending of Legend of Korra. I know that's not like, I know that series kind of went off the deep end for some people over time.
Well,
But
I can make no judgments because I haven't seen it yet.
yep,
I
I'll keep you spoiled.
You man,
I will say,
I've just seen.
I
Airbender,
recognize
which has
that
the
some
perfect
people
series
like
finale.
Korra
It's
a
perfect.
lot. I recognize that. I don't. I hate it. And to me, it's
I
only
will-
Avatar, Last Airbender.
One of the biggest issues with the show is that it has its second season, which is almost completely and entirely a political drama and slows to a complete slog. But then the next season comes around and it takes you on the journey you were waiting
To me, it's
for back in season
more than
1.
anything, it's a lore issue. I just don't like what they did with it.
Sure. I will say that when I talk
was my
about
barrier to entry, too.
when I talk about the ending, I don't mean literally the last seconds. Like that, like it was the last couple seconds were very nice. It's how they ended it and how climactic they made the whole finale of it is what made me just go, wow. It made me cry. It was beautiful. But
yeah. I now, if we're talking about, like, I would like Ninjago to have an ending similar to how Avatar: The Last Airbender had, though, which is not perfect at all. It's actually one of the more flawed parts of the show in certain parts of it, but it is incredibly impactful, and it gives you a good conclusion. That's what Ninjago needs, but the problem is, yes, it is an evergreen, and Ninjago can only end when it gets bad. That's kind of scary.
Which is probably what they're trying to avoid, which warranting doing a hard reboot you'd want to go with, because that means you start with a clean slate.
And that's the second thing, because then if you try different things, the hard reboot, we might lose what we like best about it. And it's so many hard things. Now, I will say, and we unfortunately should wrap up more here. I could talk for hours just about what to do with the Ninjago reboot.
I know.
But if they did reboot it, and they would not do this because Lloyd is too marketable, what would be the most fun to do with it is to retell the Green Ninja arc and actually have it be one of the 4 ninja this time. That would be fun.
I don't know. Make it be a girl.
No, make it be one of the 4, because this was the thing that happened when you were a kid. Now, anyone who watched it, I don't know if you guys ever watched it actually while it was airing in season 1. Everyone argued over which ninja should be the Green Ninja. No one chose Cole.
No one chose Cole.
Because Cole is the most boring ninja.
Now, a lot of people like me...
He wasn't, but that took a long time.
Yeah. It was always Zane. But they're not going to do this because Lloyd has become the poster child for Ninjago, and he's a very marketable guy.
That's just it. If they do a hard reboot, it will exist as if there was never a need to hunt down the Green Ninja.
Yeah.
The Green Ninja will
Which is unfortunate because I think that's what made Ninjago catch on. That's what made people care.
That is, but it was only needed then.
I get it.
You don't need that now.
I just think it could be such a fun... I understand why they don't do it. I just think it would be fun, because that would actually be a cool scenario of, like, if we could go over and redo it again, what are some different areas we could explore?
I think a Ninjago What If series would be fun. But, everybody's kind of trying to do that now, so...
Yeah.
I feel like you're describing the finale of Shaolin Showdown.
Don't know.
No, really, you are. It's like, because the finale was that they had to pick, the true leader to, fight the Hordes of Shadow or whatever, and it was one of them, and they were just kind of like playing with the idea of like, okay, if we, screw with the timelines, then each person gets to be the leader except for the main character in each of these timelines. And then by the end, you get the real one, and they have the big fight, and that's how it ends.
Yeah, but as we said, that's worst case, and there's some hints that it might be. Just please, Ninjago, don't do a timeline reboot.
Yes,
let the original plot go,
reboots.
And
they don't make any sense.
Let it be put to rest if you're going to end this timeline. Don't give it a bad ending. If we get a bad ending, I'll never forgive them.
I think a lot of people will feel the same, especially in the event of a hard reboot too. Like if Crystallize does not land on its own 2 feet, which I don't know what to think. But I know what I do think is that, have you guys watched the first part of Crystallized?
Yes.
I have not seen any of it.
Oh, Leo is so far behind. He's back in Sons of Garmadon still.
I will say, you have a good ride ahead of you, Leo. You have a very good ride ahead of you. I am going to mention this, and I consider it a non-spoiler thing, just because it doesn't have a huge impact on the narrative of the season itself as a whole, because it's only in 1 episode and is used as a plot device just for the episode itself. If for those of you who watched it, the character Sally, she's a songwriter, and she writes the song. And the moment that I heard the song, I'm like, either when all hope seems lost during the final fight, or as the finale of the whole series, or of this whole narrative, I should say, that song is going to play, and I'm going to be miserable. It's like, oh, it's all inspiration and pretty, and Ninjago has one of these now, and it's just like, oh.
I thought the song was kind of trash, but that's just me.
You're totally entitled to that, absolutely. Like, it's.
I do not have strong feelings either way, so we've got all ends of the spectrum here.
One of you is right.
Like,
one of you is right, and the other one is wrong.
But it's like, it's just that it's definitely there's so many.
It's an exciting time, and I wish LEGO wouldn't screw up the release.
Did you guys hear that? Apparently, the U.S. is the only country that isn't going to be getting crystallized on the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I not surprised?
So also, I heard today that they added stuff to the YouTube playlist.
So they added, they completed the playlist, but everything's privated right now. But also, Crystallized Part 2 is launching on the 10th in the U.S. on Netflix.
Okay.
Also, I just learned today is that every other country is going to be getting on the 1st.
Of course.
But also, YouTube. Oh, excuse me, not YouTube. Netflix apparently now has VPN detection.
Nice.
So if you want to watch it, you better hope that LEGO releases it all a couple of days before on the 1st, or, well, yeah. Now, I personally am very good at building myself an impenetrable, to a point, force field against spoilers, and have done a pretty good job with it so far with all of these episodes that have been premiering in Cambodia?
Yeah, I've stayed clear of it so far.
Places?
Because LEGO doesn't care.
Well, no, they do. They care enough to have it distributed, but the problem is that only the major markets have the deal with Netflix. They still distribute it via television in smaller markets. So these sorts of things happen.
But then what is the thing about the 10th? Instead of the 1st?
I have no idea.
That's why I'm like saying, for years they blamed Cartoon Network, and also the thing about it being on Netflix, then off Netflix, then on Netflix again, and that's why it's like, LEGO, you couldn't just blame Cartoon Network for all the series. You did not put a lot of effort into making this streamlined.
Well, the thing is, they think that they are. That's the problem. They think they're doing exactly what they need to do, and that's the problem.
And then it was on YouTube, and then it was off YouTube, and then it's on YouTube again.
Well, they uploaded it, and they didn't schedule a time for it to go out, so it just went live immediately.
That's just going to show up on Vimeo.
That happened as soon as the people went home for the day, assuming that they were not going to have released it. So when Monday came around, they just removed it.
Seems like they'd have someone on call for that type of stuff.
That doesn't matter to them.
Yeah, I know it doesn't, but that's what I mean. Is like they don't quite get it. They don't.
Unfortunately, maybe one day they'll learn when one of us ends up getting in there and talking to the marketing team and saying, "Nope, that's stupid."
Yeah, that's the thing is they really need this, and they used to have more of this. There should be an official liaison to the Ninjago community that's actually like talking with marketing, like telling them what's working and what's going wrong.
My man Ninja Whip, he's the guy that's basically that, and he is even affiliated with them. I mean, he's in LAN, but
that's the thing I have noticed, and I'm not sure if this is... Oh, darn, we're going to open another rabbit hole here. Is those people don't get compensation, do they?
Well, of course not. Their compensation is free LEGO.
This sounds sketchy.
So it's basically free marketing, and in turn, they get all of their LEGO for free. I think that's an okay.
It's an okay
turnaround if you're going to be making money off of the content on top. But it is a very sneaky. That doesn't have to go to LEGO.
Yeah, but it is a very sneaky way on LEGO's part to not have a full-time employee that you have to pay a salary and benefits.
Exactly. But here's the thing: when these people end up going to some like the fan events or the fan media events, like the registered people events, they will like cover some stuff, like whether that's plane fare
and to be fair, I like a lot of these people. Don't get me wrong. I'm just thinking,
absolutely.
LEGO needs someone who's actually like directly in touch with the people higher up in charge of marketing. That can.
Your feelings are that you care about these people too much to have them do this for free when they can be earning money. That's not. I personally, I agree with you. However, I also understand why they don't. And I think that there is a trade-off there, especially if the person is making money off of the content that they're making.
Yeah, no, I get that too. It's also just having someone that actually knows what's going on within Lego and can actually like talk to the right people to make things happen.
You know, someone who's a fan too, but actually works for them because, you know, Lego's allergic to those kinds of people. But, you know.
All right, we have gone on a while though, so we should probably wrap it up here.
Okay, wow, just in time.
Yeah, Leo, I haven't read that message yet, but I saw the notification.
I see.
Oh, yeah. It's always a pleasure having you on, Pen. We'll certainly have to do it again because we could probably just go on forever about this stuff.
I love being here. Well, yeah, I love talking to similar minds on this kind of stuff. So.
Reasonable minds, rational minds.
Reasonable minds, people of my era.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love. There's not a lot of people who are like us at this age.
There isn't.
Who are doing this consistently. The thing is, they will eventually exist because they'll come back into Lego and they'll remember the same stuff that we do, but we all will be 40. And right now is the interim of the Dark Ages for so many people. Like they're at the cusp of being returning from it, but they're not quite as prolific again. It's
very rare for them to be in the Ninjago section of things if they are.
Yes, but the thing is that we're already seeing so many people who were 8 when Ninjago came out who are figureheads of this community now.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned Ninja again. He was a kid when Ninjago came out. He's literally their spokesperson now.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically, it's amazing, and it's such a rare thing.
But yeah, that is what this podcast is about in the end. It's about, like I said, it's a podcast for our peers. It's not meant to reach out to some new audience. It's about mostly, and not to make it a gender thing, just guys in their, 20s who liked Lego and still like Lego. That's what our market is, because, there's not a lot of podcasts reaching out to people like that. Like I said, because there's not a lot of people that want that, but it's fun, so we do it anyways.
Oh, yeah.
So, as always, though, be sure to leave a like and a comment, because there are other people out there, and they'll never see this. We had a good live chat going on this time, and it actually showed very well in our consistent viewership this time. So, your comments are always appreciated during the stream. Also, Discord server, we've got discussions going on there with Lego all the time. We talk about video games and technology, computers, all sorts of fun stuff going on there.
Maybe I should make a channel just to showcase all the stuff I'm painting. That's only available for me and others to post in.
I mean, there's no reason not to.
I could just do that since I'm an admin. Yep.
Well, actually, I don't know if I gave you creation permissions. I don't know if I trust you that much.
Nope, you did not.
But yeah, just go ahead and join there. Also follow our Twitter. I have been posting whenever we go live, because YouTube is not always going to notify you when that happens, even if you're subscribed and click the notification bell. As always, be sure to join us every week, Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or around there. And for Ford, Leo, your guest PenPlays, and myself, LQ, thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye-bye.